Hello and welcome to NewFilmmakers Los Angeles in partnership with Movie Maker magazine. My name is Danny DeLillo and we're here at the South Park Center, and I'm here with Rodrigo with his movie Processing Station. Let's take a look at a clip.
Please be patient. Your number will be called in the order in which you arrived. Now serving number 19. Your soul will be redirected shortly. Thank you.
I mean, I had to check my phone, right? That bitch Kim was with him.
Yes, sweetie.
Number 21.
Yay, that's us.
Do you think they have Advil back there?
Oh my God, do you guys think they're gonna hook up now?
Thank you so much for being here, really appreciate it, and thank you so much for your film.
Thank you so much for having me.
For those that haven't seen it, tell us a brief synopsis of your film.
Sure. So my movie is about a dude that dies, and the afterlife is kind of like a DMV type of scenario where you have to take a written test to see if you go to heaven or hell. And the test is based on religion. It's kind of like a commentary on religion. Yeah.
It is so much fun. I mean, there are very few films that in literally the first take, you have everyone cringing and laughing, and I won't say why because you got to see it. It's fantastic. I love the opening so much. Now, the DMV is possibly, if you've not experienced the DMV, if you're not in the United States, it's possibly one of the worst places you want to be in the world, basically.
Sure.
So I love that take and how tragic that would be if that's where we have to go to. Where did the inspiration come for you in creating this film?
Sure. So the inspiration comes from a really, really long time ago. When I was a little kid, I was completely obsessed with movies. And my mom really encouraged me to love movies. So going to the video store on Friday when those still existed was huge for me. So when Terminator 2 was coming out, I could not wait to see it, but it was rated R and my mom wasn't gonna let me see it. Anyway, I'm from Mexico, so I go to the video store and there's a VHS box labeled Judgment Day.
Oh yeah.
So I'm like, yeah, totally, I'm gonna rent this movie, it's gonna be great. I got home, watched it, and it wasn't Terminator 2, it was Defending Your Life by Albert Brooks, which is, if anyone hasn't seen it, you have to see this comedy. It is so wonderful and so underrated.
Wow.
Yeah.
So by accident, almost.
Totally by accident. I watched it, I was super bummed out that it wasn't Terminator. But then this movie really changed my life. It completely informed the way I think about religion or I think about the afterlife.
Yeah.
I thought it was just great. So the movie, for anyone who hasn't seen it, it's a dude that dies and you have to kind of defend the choices you made in your life in this afterlife station.
Yeah.
So that's where the inspiration came from. And then I switched it more to straight on addressing religion in like a comedic way, but that's how it came about.
It was so funny, like so brilliant, and I can't believe you just created this world. Like, I mean, you created this whole world, like an afterlife world. I was like, this is fantastic. The location was amazing. You had some amazingly talented actors. Tell us a little bit more about the casting process because they were brilliant.
Sure, the casting process, it goes back like 5 or 6 more, like 6 or 7 years. So when I first moved out to LA, I've been here like 8 years. The first thing I did was I PA'd on a set, and it was a short film directed by Ari Aster, who's now on to greater things. He did Midsummer and that dude.
Yeah.
Anyway, he's good friends with my lead, Richard Reilly.
Brilliant.
And Richard was in Office Space, which is one of my favorite comedies of all time.
Yeah.
So I saw him on set, and even though you're totally not supposed to do that, I was a PA, and I just went up to him like, hey, dude, I don't want a picture, an autograph. I just want to tell you that like Office Space like is one of my favorite things of all time. And Richard was the nicest guy in the world about it. He spoke to me about the process, like between takes and whatnot. Anyway, it's not 7, it's 8 years ago. Then my previous short, the one I did before this, I'd written a part for Richard, and I was able to get in touch with him, sent it to him, and he said, look, I think it's a funny script, but I'm doing a play in Santa Monica. And I was, all right, bummer. Finished my previous short, wrote this one, I sent it to Richard, and I'm like, hey, I wrote this for you. If you want to do it, I want to do it. Otherwise, I don't really want to do it. And he was in, man. So it was pretty great.
When you admired someone, and you're like, I love your work and it's fantastic. What is that feeling like of them being like, I'm gonna be in your movie?
Oh man, it's I really can't put it into words. So I like doing comedies, and all the comedies I liked, before I even knew the distinction, I'm drawn to comedies at work that have character actors in them.
Yeah.
So
Richard, so many great.
Yep, absolutely. So Richard's one of them. There's another actor who he's set to be in my future, which I haven't quite been able to make yet, but Stephen Tobolowsky, who's also a very famous character actor, and he's hilarious. He was in Groundhog Day. He's Ned Ryerson.
He is.
He's
That's
the
right.
best. Yeah, he's super funny. But to your question, it's beyond words that people that were in movies that kind of changed your life want to work with you is the best. Going back a bit, I just really want to say, in terms of creating a world, I mean, I wrote a script, we did a bunch of stuff, but credit to my production designer, Julie Chen, who's super talented.
What a great, I mean, it was incredible. Like, it was a world. You took us into a world.
Absolutely. That is credit to Julie, who's our production designer, Ben Hardwick, who is our cinematographer, and I just got to work with really great people. We all met at film school, and we're still making stuff together.
I love that because so often I speak to a lot of film students, and it is great because you do build your team there, people you can trust, people that you knew each other before you knew yourselves, and you trust each other. And that how important for you is it about your team and just having that kind of core team that work together to keep on making projects? Oh,
that's the biggest thing. Like the most nerve-wracking thing is, I mean, you write something, you're happy with it, but unless you're lucky enough to find the actors that you want and they want to work with you, and especially your team behind the camera, if it doesn't work out for them scheduling wise, there's, I mean, I wouldn't say you shouldn't make it, but you should be very careful with how you approach each project because it'll consume months and years of your life.
What I loved about it is that you just kind of, I think sometimes as well, like creating this sort of, this hell area and this kind of, so to speak, better, higher ever. It was kind of almost the illusion. It was the illusion of kind of what you didn't give us, but what was behind those doors that was just so like every time things turned, I was like, what's going on? And I love the kind of rooms and how you kind of create these different rooms and avenues and stuff like that. But for me, I was like, this must be a challenge with all those things. What was your kind of biggest challenge that you had in making this particular film?
It's the biggest project I've done. It's my third short, but it had a very large cast. And like anyone else, we were tight on money. So for example, the doors, sort of being introduced to the doors through sound effects, that was a budgetary thing. We just didn't have enough money to dress another location. So it's just, your budget really informs your creative process.
Yeah.
That was a huge challenge. A teacher of mine in film school who's been absolutely amazing to me, Peter Yambruga. He helped us out with a lot of the construction of the set. So that was just, I mean, there's no words to describe it. Peter produced Heat and The Insider. He produced a lot for Michael Mann. And I've been super lucky to work for really smart people in my life, and Peter's the smartest one. He is just a genius. I got to work with him on his show. He has a show on Amazon right now.
Well, speaking of genius, you're pretty much genius yourself with your wonderful directing. Now, because you obviously have these amazing comedic, actors and actresses. How are you as a director? Are you quite hands-on? How you work with them? Do you kind of let them play or improvise? How does it work for you?
I work super hard in the casting process. It's just in a very methodical manner. For example, almost every actor who was in this short, I've worked with them before. So I've found them in different casting processes. For example, so Graham, the dude that plays the mental patient,
so good.
He had been in my previous short. He was the finalist to play the lead. Then it didn't work out. I worked with Ben, who's the dude eating the hamburger. But anyway, every time you're in casting, someone's nice enough to come in to read your script, so you have to really focus to what you think they can do. I think it's a combination of that and finding your tone in the writing.
Yeah.
Once you're on set, I mean, I address actors very directly. I don't use any tricks or I'm not mean to them. Like I've heard like really good directors are mean to their actors. That's never really worked for me. So it's just very clear. With Richard, I'd never worked with obviously an actor as experienced as Richard.
Fantastic.
It was unbelievable. We wouldn't have been able to get through our days without an actor like Richard. He does not know how to make a mistake.
Yeah.
Continuity, performance, just very directly like, oh, Richard, I think this might be a bit higher, a bit lower. No tricks, and that's how,
Well, I love that you also revealed God's females. That was also a nice discovery.
Absolutely.
What did you? Because what I don't want to give too much away, but like, I love how you played the ending.
Totally.
And you almost kind of, you know, it's almost like we're kind of all a bit silly sometimes how we just all get caught up on our religious or our beliefs and how we think about other religions if we're religious about a certain other religion, you know. And I love the kind of ending that you gave us, just like, hey, it doesn't matter what you are or what you believe, you know what I mean? Like, it was just kind of beautiful. What did you kind of want your audience to take from your film apart from being entertained?
Totally, like the exact sentiment you just described. So myself, I'm from Mexico. Mexico's not 100% homogenous, but it's a very homogenous society in terms of religion. We're all Catholic, not everyone, but most of the country. And when I was a little kid, I moved to the States. So I lived in the States for like 5 years, and I lived in the suburb outside New York. And it was a wholly Jewish community. So I'd never been exposed to people who didn't believe in Santa Claus, for example.
Yeah.
And that was a massive thing that I've just had my whole life. In terms of religion, when I was a kid, I once asked one of the nuns what the difference was between religion and mythology, and she got like really mad at me. And I just I can't even feature that. If a God does exist, which I have no idea, but if a God does exist, that she or he would be like supremely concerned with all these tiny little rules and what we're doing as opposed to how we treat each other. It's just madness. And I mean, it's a comedy. I'm not saying it's anything that it's not. But while we were cutting it, it was the new brand of madness in terms of religious violence was people started renting out vans and crashing into the public with religious connotation. It's just... So this film was about religion. My previous one was about gender roles. And the good thing about making a film about something like that, you have to spend years thinking about this one single subject. And you can kind of see how people go crazy when they're in the arts, because you just think about this one thing and you stop understanding how anyone could harm someone else based on it.
No,
it's just madness.
It absolutely, and I think I definitely felt that you gave us in that film, as well as this very, you know, light way of looking at it. I felt that, and I think that was a really important thing to take away from it. Now, your film, Prison Station, was featured with NewFilmmakers Los Angeles at the home of the Academy Awards. What was that experience like for you?
Oh, dude, I could not be more thrilled about it. All of you guys have been super kind to all of us. It's been a great experience. The film is screened at several venues for this past year, but this was my favorite one. And I'm totally not just saying that. The theater's great. The audio, the audio, the projection, everything about it was wonderful. Other than being a filmmaker, I teach with an organization called Youth Cinema Project.
Oh, yeah.
And they screen at the Academy sometimes. So I always tell the kids, like, look, guys, you guys are screening at the Academy. A lot of us who are teachers have never done that, but now I've done that.
See, there you go. That's fun. Well, there you go. Well deserved, honestly. No, I love your sense of humor and your style, and I honestly can't wait to keep seeing more of your work as well. What exactly is coming next for you after this?
So a couple years ago, I was lucky enough to attract a production company to the script I wrote. So it's set in Mexico. When I pitch it around with all humility, I say what I'm attempting to do is like a comedy version of Amores Perros. It's
I love that movie.
Yeah. It's a large, all-encompassing world through several class structures in Mexico. Class structure in Mexico is it's like a very big thing.
Yeah.
So it's a film noir that has a dual protagonist who's a dude that works at a municipal market and a young executive at a bank. And they're both charged with solving the mystery of why this business deal between their two worlds just doesn't come about.
Okay.
So it's like a comedy. It's tons of people. Anyway, signed a development on it 2 years ago, and I just work on that. I work on it, try to get money.
That's amazing.
Yep.
Everyone's making such good films. It's fantastic. I love it so much. Okay, you're a teacher. So last but not least, what is the one important advice that you give to your students or to any filmmakers out there that want to make a film? What do you tell them?
Totally, you have to put in the hours. There's no fairy dust you sprinkle on these things. It's just thousands of hours of super hard work. You have to be nice. You have to have emotional intelligence. You can't fly off the handle over every fucking thing.
Yeah.
Because this is a project-based medium where everyone kind of knows each other, and I mean, you should be nice anyway.
Right.
but-
It's not hard to be nice, right?
No,
There you go.
it's the same thing.
Yeah.
But definitely hard work. I remember this podcast I listened to years ago, and Harmony Korine had been featured on it. And I'm not the biggest Harmony Korine guy, but I think he's a super smart dude. And what he said was, he says, if you want to make stuff that's specific to you, it means more hours of working. And I'll go off what Adam was saying. Finding your voice is, to a young artist, that's the best thing you can do. There's no way to go about it except working on it.
Yeah.
But it just takes longer.
Oh, I love it. Honestly, I wish you were my teacher, honestly. No, thank you so much for your film. Really love your work, and deservedly you got your time at the Academy, so looking forward to your award next. Anyways, thank you very much, Rodrigo, for being here, and thank you for Processing Station. Everybody must see it.
Thank you
There you
so
go.
much, dude.
Thank
It was
you.
great, yeah.